Hey guys, how's everybody doing today? I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm coming on here today because I wanted to share with you that I have decided to put together a video for you guys on a weekly basis. And I want to create video around topics that I feel are super important to talk about in the realm of autoimmunity and chronic disease. Um, the reason behind it is I want to give you guys as much value as possible, as much content as possible in this group for you to dip into for your own personal needs wherever you are in your autoimmune journey. I want this to be a really good resource for you to come back to, explore and implement into your own lives in order to move through this disease with more ease, to be able to implement and create the life of your dreams, so to say, to live and create a life that you desire and deserve for yourself, to better your symptoms, to address certain areas with nutrition and lifestyle self-care, all the things that I had to do in order to get where I am. No flare-ups, no severe symptoms, no fatigue, no pain, um, 80%, 90% of the time. So there is a way, and I just want to really make this a really valuable group for you. I also want you to think about any kind of topics that you would like me to address, that we can talk about. In the future, I want to come on here live. I want to do it like a live occurrence weekly. And maybe I'm even going to be putting like a schedule together for us, pick a date, a day, like one day of the week where we're going to meet live and to discuss certain topics, because I want this to be interactive, more like a Q&A, so to speak, versus me just sitting here talking to you and then, and then waiting for answers or questions from you after. But this is going to come in the future. And I say in the future because right now we're still in the, post-COVID, still COVID, I guess, scenario where my entire family is home with me. And it's really difficult to schedule a time that works for me continuously in order to focus on Facebook Live. So I'm basically just picking the time of the day that works for me best in order to come to you guys. Anyways, that is just my intro for the day. That is my vision, my plan. But for today, I actually picked a topic to talk about, to introduce to you guys, and that is leaky gut. So I know that probably a lot of you guys have already heard the term leaky gut. It's not my favorite term. So it's not my favorite term because I find that it doesn't really represent what is actually going on in your body, because your gut is not leaky per se. So the actual term that was coined for this was a small intestinal permeability. And I'm going to use that term throughout the video because I think it's such a way more descriptive of what's actually going on in your body versus leaky gut. So let's dive right in. Leaky gut, what is it and why does it matter and how is it always involved in autoimmune? So what is leaky gut? The misconception oftentimes that I see is that people have that idea that they eat something that's bad for them, and then that food is aggravating your intestinal lining, that food is coming in, it's bad food, and it is poking holes into your intestinal lining. And that causes all kinds of inflammation. And now you have this hole in your intestinal lining that is not where it should be, and it's inflaming and irritating the whole thing. So this is not how it works. Intestinal permeability is actually a natural thing. Intestinal permeability is your intestinal lining in your gut, in your small intestine. You have a one cell layer, and that's your intestinal lining. And this one cell layer is not a solid wall. It's not a solid cell wall that is there, and that all of a sudden something pokes holes into it. Those cells are connected with each other, and they're connected with this complex system of, different components that come together and connect those cells. But those cells are individual cells. They're connected with each other, and they're connected by junctions. So there you have intestinal junctions, and they're called desmosomes. Right? So every cell is connected, and you have those junctions, which allows food to go in, right? So it's the permeability that is naturally there in order to allow food to come in. So the small intestinal lining, the lining, has two functions. Function number one is to allow nutrients to come in, to be absorbed into the bloodstream. And function number two is to keep stuff out that is not supposed to come in. So think about eating food, chewing it properly, mindful eating, breathing, making it a really good mush so that it's really absorbable. It goes into your intestines, and then your intestinal lining is there waiting for it. Your intestinal lining is often also called brush border, because the cells have, in order to increase absorption rate, they have like little fingers that are floating around attached to the lining. They're called microvilli, and they're called brush border because they look like bristles on your toothbrush. That's why. And so there's so many cells that are lined up and separated by junctions, very tight junctions. Those tight junctions are not allowing anything in, right? Because they're so tight. However, they do allow food particles in that are well digested. Everything that you need, your minerals, your vitamins, all your chemical components that needs to be absorbed are being absorbed through the intestinal lining. When you have a completely healthy intestinal lining, that's how it works. However, when there's inflammation going on, irritation of the intestinal lining, that's a totally different picture. Because normally these tight junctions are not allowing any big molecules in that can be toxins, pesticides, undigested food. They're just too big. They don't get through. However, they might start to irritate the cells in your intestinal lining. So if you continuously eat and don't chew properly, let's say, and swallow bigger food particles that are not entirely digested by the time it gets to the intestinal lining, it can start to aggravate the intestinal lining as those food particles are trying to be absorbed. So that can increase inflammation, irritation on the cells, and which will cause the junctions to open up slowly over time through inflammation, irritation. Those junctions will open up, and the bigger food molecules that are that weren't digested or absorbed before, because they're not supposed to, are all of a sudden now being absorbed into your bloodstream. That can also include pesticides, any kind of toxins, any kind of bacterial products are now starting to come in to your bloodstream. So now your body's defense system is being activated because your body's defense system, your immune system, is being alerted and say it's being told, hey, something is coming into my body. It doesn't belong here. It, it looks like a tomato, but it really isn't, because the food molecule is bigger than it should be, and it confuses, or let's say it it confuses your immune system, or let's say the immune system does its thing and sees it as a foreign particle. So what happens then? There's like a lot of action happening. There's components involved. For example, they're called cytokines. So in that, when that happens, excuse me, cytokines oh my goodness, I need to clear my throat. Sorry, guys. So cytokines in turn are being activated, and they are activating our white blood cells, and the white blood cells come in to battle those particles, to battle those components that are perceived as being foreign. And that is a very valid thing to do. That's what our body is meant to do, to protect us from it, right? So, and this causes systemic inflammation over time. So if that is happening, then not only do you have the inflammation and irritation on the cell lining, on the intestinal lining, but then you also create, or the body also creates, inflammation within the bloodstream, within your body, because your immune system is being activated and it's starting to produce antibodies against those particles. So now what happens is, if you, for example, eat that food over and over and over again because you're not aware that you actually have now intestinal permeability with inflammation and irritation going on, and you keep eating these foods and the bigger particles are going into your bloodstream, into your body is starting to create those antibodies against these food particles. And then all of a sudden you start to create more inflammation, and you will see that you have more food intolerances and food sensitivities that are showing. So then you realize that, there's certainly some sort of gut issue going on if you feel that you are just starting to react to more and more and more foods. So in turn, though, when the inflammation shows in your intestinal lining, its functions are being all of a sudden are being reversed, which means that the bigger molecules that the intestinal lining is supposed to keep out are now coming in, right? Because of the junctions that are starting to loosen up a little bit. And in turn, the smaller particles that are so important for us to be nourished, and so that our cells are being nourished and can do what they need to do, the minerals and the vitamins and all the good stuff that are supposed to come in through the intestinal lining, are now no longer coming in due to inflammation, increase of mucus, irritation. Those particles are now being blocked out, which leads to malabsorption. So that's why we find that oftentimes with chronic illness, autoimmune disease, we find a lot of food sensitivities happening, and we find that we're nutrient deficient. So now you know why this is happening, right? You're being, you have malabsorption going on, and you have the wrong stuff coming into your system, which creates more inflammation. So when you go see your doctor and your specialist, so for me it was my thyroid, and so I went to see the endocrinologist, Now, he's specialized on my thyroid, and he might know what's best for my thyroid if my thyroid is not working properly. You know, he gives me the medication that he believes I need in order to support my thyroid. However, he's not making that connection between my gut and my thyroid, knowing that there's a connection between irritation in my gut and inflammation somewhere else in my body, usually the weakest link in your body that is being affected by systemic inflammation. So I might end up having to take the medication that I've been offered, but if I'm not going in there and if I'm not starting to support my gut and try to restore and repair what's happening down in my gut, and I'm trying to soothe the inflammation and bringing it down, I will have trouble, with the continuation of my thyroid levels, because the inflammation will continuously fuel the imbalance of the organ of my thyroid, in my case, and maybe your joints or whatever your autoimmune disease is, your liver. It'll continue to fuel that irritation, the inflammation, the antibody response if I don't go in there and if I don't seal and repair and restore my gut. The root cause of it all is still happening, and that's why you oftentimes see that, oftentimes medication stops to work, then your doctor will give you another prescription. Maybe that sometimes even stops to work, and then you have to maybe up your dosage. And so you'll see how it's continuously moving along. So pathology is continuously moving along, and it's not being looked after properly because nobody goes into the root cause of it all. So leaky gut is super important to address when you're dealing with an autoimmune disease, and really starting to repair and restore your gut health will make a huge difference in your symptoms and your inflammation levels, and how you feel. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. Please, please, please let me know if you have any questions around leaky gut. Reach out to me, drop me a comment, whatever it is. And also, if there's any other topic that you want me to discuss, let me know, and I will see you next time. Bye.